I never imagined the quietest street in our subdivision would turn into a full-blown crime scene because one woman decided my garage smelled off. It was 7 a.m. on a Tuesday when 6 patrol cars screamed to a stop, lights strobing, officers jumping out with guns drawn, yelling for me to get on the ground while my kids stared in horror from the front window. All of it happened because our HOA president, Karen, swore on a stack of bylaws that my house was a meth lab. What the police actually uncovered that morning ended with her screaming in handcuffs and the entire neighborhood filming on their phones. My name's Jay. I'm 34, a software engineer, standard issue dad bod, the guy who actually reads HOA emails instead of deleting them. We bought this house 2 years ago because the schools were solid and the yards were big. That turned out to be a massive mistake. The moment we moved in, Karen started circling us like a shark that smelled blood. First, it was an incorrect shade of beige on our mailbox post. Then it was my wife's small herb garden on the front porch. Unauthorized agriculture. I smiled, fixed it, paid the ridiculous fines. I just wanted peace. But Karen didn't want peace. She wanted control. And when I politely suggested at the last board meeting that maybe we didn't need to spend $18,000 on decorative rocks nobody asked for, her eyes went flat and empty. That same night, she began parking across the street, sitting in her white Escalade for hours, just staring at our house. Neighbors whispered that she was taking notes. I laughed it off until that Tuesday morning. At 6:53 a.m., my Ring camera caught her creeping up our driveway with her phone flashlight, sniffing the air like a bloodhound. She hovered near the garage door for a full minute, then speed-walked back to her house. 30 minutes later, the street looked like a scene from a SWAT movie. Officers kicked in the front door, dragged me out of my boxers, slammed me face down on the lawn, while my 7-year-old sobbed inside. Karen stood on her porch in a silk robe, arms crossed, smirking like she'd just won the lottery. The lead detective asked where I kept the chemicals. I was so confused, I almost laughed. Chemicals? I have diaper cream and off-brand Febreze. They tore the garage apart anyway. Found my camping stove, some old paint cans, and a box of pool chlorine tablets I'd forgotten we even owned. Karen kept shouting from the sidewalk, "I smelled ammonia. Everyone knows that's how they cook it." The officer holding the chlorine stared at her like she'd lost her mind. Then one of the younger cops noticed something across the street through Karen's open garage. Her automatic door had glitched halfway up when all the cruisers blocked her driveway. Inside were hundreds, maybe thousands, of Amazon packages, USPS bins overflowing with envelopes, Target bags still tagged, stacked floor to ceiling. The detective said, "Ma'am, why does your garage look like the back room of fentanyl cartel?" Karen went completely white. Turns out Queen Karen had been stealing mail and packages from every porch camera blind spot in the neighborhood for over a year. She filed fake HOA complaints as cover to prowl at night, then blamed porch pirates when people posted in the Facebook group. That morning she panicked because my wife ordered a $400 stroller that was supposed to arrive Monday and never did. Instead of admitting she stole it, she decided to nuke my life with a drug lab story so no one would look too closely at her garage when the cops arrived. I was still on my knees in the grass, hands zip-tied, watching the woman who terrorized us for 2 years start hyperventilating as officers swarmed her house. She tried to slam the garage door button, but a sergeant already had his boot wedged in the way. The body cam audio caught her screaming, "This is private property," right before they found the stolen stroller still boxed, hidden under a tarp with our name on the shipping label. That was the exact moment the smirk finally vanished from her face forever. But what happened over the next 48 hours? With the FBI, the news vans, and a secret group chat nobody knew existed, that's when things went completely off the rails. The zip ties finally came off, but my wrists were raw and my kids were shaken. I stood there in the cold grass watching officers carry out box after box of other people's lives. Birthday gifts never opened. Prescription meds. Someone's wedding dress, still sealed in plastic. Karen sat in the back of a cruiser, mascara streaking down her face, screaming that she had immunity because she was HOA president. The detective laughed and read her rights louder. By noon, the street had turned into a circus. News vans, drones, neighbors live streaming like it was a Super Bowl. Someone started a GoFundMe for us before lunch. It hit $12,000. I didn't even know how to feel. Part vindicated, part furious, part terrified they'd still find a way to spin this on us. That's when the FBI showed up in unmarked SUVs. Turns out stealing mail is a federal crime, and Karen had been doing it at an industrial scale. They seized her phones, her ring footage, her laptop, and that's when the real avalanche started. First bombshell. She had a spreadsheet, over 400 rows. Every house on the street, every delivery intercepted, estimated resale value, notes on who complained the loudest. My family was right there near the top, highlighted in red with the note priority elimination. She'd been selling the valuable items on Facebook Marketplace under fake names, then dumping the rest so insurance would pay out twice. The second bombshell hit right after that. The decorative rock budget she tried to shove through the HOA. She had marked up the quote by nearly 800%, funneling the extra money back to a landscaping company owned by her cousin. The rocks were never meant to arrive. She needed cash for a lawyer because the postal inspector had already mailed her a target letter. She intercepted that too. But the revelation that made my stomach drop came at 9 p.m. that night. An agent knocked on our door, holding a flash drive sealed in an evidence bag. "Mr. Patel," he asked quietly, "does the name Lakeview Watch mean anything to you?" It was a private Facebook group where half the neighborhood vented about Karen behind her back. Turns out Karen created herself 2 years earlier, moderated it through a burner account, and used it to collect dirt on everyone. Every rant, every photo of unapproved holiday lights, every drunk 2 a.m. confession. She archived it all. And the sickest part, she'd screenshot the worst posts, print them anonymously, and slide them under people's doors the next morning as friendly reminders about the rules. People thought they were imagining things. They weren't. She was gaslighting an entire zip code. The agent lowered his voice and said, "We found messages where she discussed burning down your garage if the drug tip failed." Actual text. "If the Indian family doesn't leave by spring, accidents happen." My wife heard that and threw up in the kitchen sink. By midnight, federal agents were wheeling out bank boxes packed with unopened mail dating back to 2022. One neighbor recovered his deceased mother's ashes that never arrived. Another found the engagement ring he ordered for his girlfriend. Karen had been wearing it for 8 months. The screaming on that lawn still wakes me some nights. Karen spent the night in county jail, but her attorney paid for with our stolen packages. Got her released on bail the next morning. She walked back into the neighborhood like nothing happened, waving at news cameras, claiming she was a real victim of cancel culture. Half the block was ready to riot. That's when she made her final, unhinged power move. She called an emergency HOA meeting for the very next day and scheduled it at her own house, claiming the clubhouse was contaminated by negative energy. She genuinely believed she could still preside. Every single resident showed up, not to argue, but to watch her crash and burn in 4K. Phones were raised, live streams rolling. Someone even ordered pizza like it was a pay-per-view event. What nobody expected was the envelope she slid across the table 10 minutes into meeting, and a name written on it that sucked all the air out of the room. I still get chills thinking about whose name it was and what Karen whispered as she handed it over with that demonic little smile. We stood in her living room like we were attending a funeral for someone still breathing. 30 furious neighbors. Red recording dots glowing everywhere. Karen sat ahead of her dining table like it was still a throne, hair flawless, the same silk robe from the raid, sipping iced coffee through a straw. Then she pushed a thick manila envelope to the center and tapped it twice. "Before anyone says a word," she smiled, "you should thank me." Silence. She opened it and fanned out photographs. Dozens of them. Crystal clear night vision stills from her backyard Ring camera. The first showed Mr. Henderson from number 47, quiet retiree, carrying a cardboard box out her garage at 2:14 a.m. 3 weeks earlier. Next, Mrs. Chun sneaking away with 2 Amazon bags. Then the Gomez twins hauling what looked like a flat-screen TV, still sealed in the box. One by one, every person in that room appeared, time-stamped and undeniable. Karen leaned back, pleased with herself. "I've been setting out bait packages for months," she said sweetly. "Everyone who took one is on federal camera. Mail theft is a felony. I could destroy every one of you with a single phone call. Faces collapsed. Some people cried. Others clenched their fists. I thought that was a twist. It wasn't. She locked eyes with me and slid one last photo forward. It was me. Christmas Eve, half buzzed on eggnog, picking up a small package from her porch after she'd accidentally left it there during one of her fake deliveries. I remembered it. Tiny box, no label. I thought it was a kid's toy left in the rain. I meant to return it the next day. I forgot. It was still unopened in my attic. She had me too. That's when the front door opened and two postal inspectors walked in with the same FBI agent from the day before. Karen stood, triumphant. Officers, these are the real thieves. Arrest them all. The agent didn't even glance at us. He walked straight to Karen, spun her around, and cuffed her, this time with federal bracelets. Karen Marie Whitmore, you're under arrest for mail theft, wire fraud, conspiracy, and 47 counts of filing false police reports. She screamed about immunity, about bylaws, about how we were the criminals. The inspector held up a flash drive. See, Karen, we've been watching you watch everyone else. Your bait packages had Apple AirTags. Every time someone picked one up, you logged it. What you didn't know is we swapped the tags 6 months ago. We have you on video planting every box and remotely triggering your own Ring cameras to frame your neighbors. You filmed your own felony 112 times. The room erupted. People sobbed, hugged, screamed at her all at once. Karen's face shifted from confusion to raw animal panic. She tried to run. A 70-year-old grandma tackled her into the ficus. The last image I have of Karen is her being dragged out barefoot, robe torn, still shouting about bylaws while the entire block chanted, "Lock her up," in unison. Federal prison doesn't have an HOA. 3 weeks later, every charge against every neighbor was dropped. The U.S. attorney called it the dumbest extortion scheme in postal history. We got our belongings back, plus restitution. Karen got 12 years, no parole. Her house went into foreclosure. The new owners are the young couple she terrorized the worst, and they painted it bright purple just because they could. And that envelope full of photos? The agents let us burn it in our own fire pit, while a news helicopter circled overhead. I've never smelled anything sweeter than the ashes of her control. Sometimes I still wake up at 3 a.m. expecting a complaint letter under the door. Then I remember there is no HOA president anymore. Just a quiet street, kids playing basketball at dusk, and a purple house that makes us all smile every time we drive past it. Moral of the story: never trust a lady who measures your grass with a ruler. Some Karens don't just want to speak to the manager. They want to rule your entire universe, until the universe finally fights back. If you enjoyed this story, hit subscribe. Every subscription helps me bring you even more dramatic HOA justice stories. Don't forget to tap the bell so you never miss an upload. I'll see you in the next one, where the karma hits even harder.